Hey, welcome back, guys. In this video, we're going to identify corresponding sides in similar figures. So think about in real life. So if you have two houses side by each other, and you took one house and put it on top of the other like I have here. So we'll call this house 1 and house 2. If I put house 2 on top of house 1, would the front door be in the same spot? They would, meaning they are corresponding. It'll make more sense as I keep going. Now, for this one, if you put the house number 1 on top of house number 2, would the front doors be in the same spot? No, meaning they're not corresponding. So corresponding is in the same place. So for similar figures, you gotta be able to identify corresponding sides. So when you get two triangles like this, it's easy to tell that the left side corresponds to this left side of the large triangle. And then on the small triangle, the hypotenuse of a right triangle, well, we're assuming it's a right triangle. And yeah, it is because it's 3, 4, 5. All right, so you're assuming the hypotenuse, which is the longest side of a right triangle, corresponds to this side. Now, the bottom, which I'm not using academic vocabulary, I'm just trying to get you to understand what corresponding means. It's easy to tell that these are corresponding sides because they're in the same place. If you grab the small triangle and you put it inside the big triangle, it's easy to tell. I mean, you don't even really have to. It's always when it gets crazy and they're turned or whatnot, and that's where I always recommend students to use patty paper. All right, so this is the type that where we start to struggle with. So when we're looking at, we have two triangles. And so some of you will be able to identify corresponding sides without doing anything. I always recommend to redraw. So you have the large triangle on the left side, which is triangle LMN. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw another triangle that's smaller than the large triangle. Okay. And so then now I'm going to identify. So if you notice, it says triangle LMN, and then it's RST. So this is R, this is ST. So I'll explain it at the end how I came about it, and it will help you too. But what I want you to notice is LM corresponds to RS. And so what that means, if you had patty paper, you would trace the small one and put it inside the large one, and you would notice that LM corresponds to RS. Now, MN will correspond to ST. So it's easier to see it when they're facing the same direction. I'm not saying you have to do it that way. I just see kids do better with it. Now, the longest side of the triangle on the left side is 28, and the longest side on the small triangle is 21. But that's not how I picked it. I just, once they're facing the same direction, it helps me out. So this is corresponding sides. I know the video says it's supposed to be just sides, but angle M, which correlates or corresponds to angle S, and those would be congruent. So if angle M, which would be LMN, we can say angle M just to keep it simple, would be equal to angle S. They would be congruent. That will be on your STAAR test, I promise you. It's going to have something about corresponding sides and corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are congruent. They're meaning they're equal. The corresponding sides would be proportional, and they'll have equivalent ratios. I'll have other videos where I'm solving, but right now we're just setting them up. All right, so let's look at this one. Quadrilateral JKLM is similar to quadrilateral EFG. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redraw so I can visually see them oriented the same direction. Okay, so if you notice, it said JK LM. So it started JKLM. Now, it corresponds to E, F, G, H. So if you don't have patty paper and you're at home, which for my students, I will share my patty paper, you'll notice that J is first and E is first. So that will help you. J goes with E, K goes with F, L goes with G, and M goes with H. I didn't tell kids in the class because I really want kids to use patty paper. However, if you're still struggling seeing it, then I want to give you another option. Now I go back to the second quadrilateral on the right side, and I notice EF is 12. So now I can label my dimensions. That is 12. And then I'm going to go with FG. Look at the one on the right side. It's 38 and 4/10. Then I'll look at EH on the right side. And then all I'm going to do is just so I can identify corresponding sides and not make any mistakes. Okay. I hope this helped. You know, I will have other videos on solving for similar figures. Thanks for watching.